Welcome to the Tunbridge Wells Borough Council What We Do podcast. Today we're going to talk about private sector housing.
My name's Claire Pickering and I'm an Environmental Health Officer in the private sector housing team.
And I'm Sue Oliver, I'm an Environmental Health Officer as well, and I manage the private sector housing team.
What's your team responsible for?
We've got a range of functions, and one of the most significant ones is complaints from tenants, and that might be disrepair, it might be standards, it might be fire safety, it might be the sizes of room, damp and mould, and so we would go out and visit and if necessary take action against the landlord to get any necessary work done. Another area of work is our houses multiple occupation in the town, so another bit of the important work we do is to licence those properties and again make sure that everything's up to scratch.
So we do disabled facilities grants, and the idea behind that is to enable people to remain independent in their own homes. So the two most common ones we do are stair lifts and what's called the flush floor shower, so a level access shower so that someone doesn't have to step up or step over something into a shower. And that's a really big area of work.
Another large area of work is energy efficiency. And so we've got some local funding available to help people improve the energy efficiency in their homes. There's another type of assistance that relates to the energy performance certificate of the house being below a certain level. So we would make grants available to help with insulation, loft insulation, wall insulation, perhaps central heating, replacing a boiler. And then the final kind of strand to that is we're part of a Kent partnership for something called Solar Together, which is an auction that takes place on a certain date, and people can register an interest, have solar panels and battery storage on their properties. Part of it is about making a cold home warm, improving someone's health, and the other end is looking at renewables, carbon reduction, reaching carbon zero, and then empty homes.
So where there is an empty property that someone would like to bring back into use, we work with KCC to make interest-free loans available to people, and that's to bring a property back into use to either be sold or to go onto the rental market. And then we've got caravan site licensing as well, where someone gets planning permission, and when we're talking about caravan site, in our borough, we're not talking usually about a big caravan site, but quite often it might be someone just who gets permission for one caravan and they have to meet certain standards. It's things to do with the safety of the site.
So we've sort of talked, a lot of the work we do is kind of regulatory. We've talked about licensing, bringing properties up to standards. So it's part of that umbrella of regulatory services that a local authority offers. That said, going back to when a tenant complains to us, for example, one thing we could do is steam right in and take enforcement action and serve notices. But often there's a lot to be gained by talking to the landlord, finding out what their intentions are. We find that a lot of the landlords in the town want to improve properties and want to work with us.
We've got generally very good landlords, I would say, across the borough.
So our aim is to get the work done as quickly as possible by the best possible route.
What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
It can be getting calls and our admin assistant will triage them. Normally we ask for photos so that we get a bit of an idea of how bad things are. There was a case a couple of weeks ago where we'd got some photos and it was so bad that somebody went out immediately. But often we'll arrange a visit within, a few days, a week, depending on workloads. Very responsive, reactive work. The disabled facility grant work,
that's more of sort of planned in things. So if people want a disabled facilities grant, the first thing they have to do is to have a referral from an occupational therapist, which is usually a Kent County Council occupational therapist. So the occupational therapist will go out, will assess their needs. People think they want one thing, but actually when someone goes out and assesses it, there are other things that they can have that could help them that they maybe haven't thought about. So then the occupational therapist would make the referral to us. The work can be quite different in different areas of Kent, because the housing stock's different, the demographics are different. So it's good to learn from other authorities, really, isn't it? Sort of best practice.
So what kind of qualifications and background do you need to get into this role?
So now it's degree entry, and that can be a BSc or an MSc.
Or an MSc. So I came here as a student when I was quite old. The last job I had before this, I took redundancy and then used that to go back to uni and do a master's, and then I came here as a student.
What topic is your degree in?
Oh, environmental health.
What other skills do you need?
I think we're problem solvers.
I think there's a real thread that runs through any environmental health officer that you meet, is that problem solving, assessing risk, looking at what's needed, taking
a broad
action,
view.
and definitely interpersonal skills, because to be a successful team we need to work closely. We're a small team. I'm constantly looking at pressures across the team and what work can shift and making sure priority work gets done. But also, obviously, we need good interpersonal skills with customers and have conversations with them and be clear about what we can do, what we can't do.
You've got to be fairly good at talking to people because you're going into their home, so you don't want to make them feel awkward when you go into their homes.
And listening. I think listening's such a key skill.
What is the most satisfying part of your job?
For me, because I do so much disabled facility grant work, it's really lovely when you go back and the work's done, and I would say 99.9% of people are so happy and they say to you, it's changed their life.
We receive an annual allocation from government to spend on disabled facility grant, and last year we spent nearly £1 million.
Just
and
short.
How many grants did we do? Was it 100?
It was about 100, yes.
So that's the kind of impact that work is having. I've enjoyed watching the team grow. One big challenge we took on last year that I think was really successful was the Homes for Ukraine. We were tasked at short notice with doing the property checks of the host properties. So there's quite a lot of pressure on us to get through that. We really pulled together as a team. Everyone had a role. We all really showed the strength of the team at a time under particular pressure.